Beyond.
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 Stop
Beyond.
it.
Beyond.
We've got
Beyond.
enough people on this show already this week. Good Lord. Welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 423. I'm sorry we're a day late. There's some big news we want to talk about. I'm Max Scoville. Joining me is Marty Sleva.
Brap.
Back from Japan, Mitch Dyer.
Didn't go to Japan.
I don't care where you went. Brian Altano, back from yeah, that's what Marty sounds like. And back from Japan.
Actually, back to
Yeah.
Just back from
Actually.
Japan, and ooh, I'm lagging.
You wearing a Diamond Dog shirt?
Yeah.
What's
You
up
big
with that?
D-dog?
Yeah. Met a Kojima all day
Yeah, so,
yesterday. Someday. I don't remember when.
Let's get down on this just right away.
Yeah,
This is the big,
hit me.
one of the biggest stories of the year.
We sort of leaked. We Zach went to Japan to talk about it, basically. Hideo Kojima is partnering with Sony to start Kojima Productions as its own studio, working on a PS4 timed exclusive.
A brand new.
Potentially timed exclusive. That
Yeah, we still don't know. It's like
we're not
they
sure.
said something about PC.
So it's console
Yes.
exclusive to PlayStation.
Console
What that,
exclusive to
we don't know
PlayStation.
if that means
They're-
it is exclusive to consoles on PlayStation or if for a time it will
Correct.
be PlayStation
Yes.
only. Like the
But,
phrasing is really weird.
I mean, if you missed it, there's a video of Kojima who now has a beard and he's hanging out with Andrew House and they're
Looking good.
high-fiving and shaking hands and having a good time, and basically that's really cool news.
Yeah.
He officially left Konami on the December 15th yesterday.
Vacation's over.
yesterday, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's finally back.
So that's some news. It's probably going to be a minute before we see this game. Zach, what the hell happened? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, a minute is an understatement. I think it's going to be. We probably won't see this until 2019. I would
Really?
assume.
Yeah.
I
I think
honestly,
it's far
like
away.
if there is a game at all, I think it's maybe concept.
You
only.
mean we won't play it until 2019?
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're going to
We
see
might
it.
see it sooner.
It'll be like
than
a
that, but
E3 or PSX thing 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Maybe. Best case.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it'll be like teaser.
So I have the feeling that he basically just approached Sony and was like, "I'm gonna do my own thing, and if you guys want in, then jump on it."
Yeah,
And
I mean,
you know.
obviously, we've been covering the story or the weird parts of the story for the last 6 months or so about how things have been very odd with Konami, and they've been doing
Yeah.
that whole like everything's fine, he's on vacation. Obviously, something was up. So is that kind of what you got from it? That he jumped ship and called his old friends up, basically, or do you think it was the other way around?
It's not even his old friends. I mean, he's taken team members with him,
Right.
To Kojima Productions.
You've got Yoji Shinkawa.
yeah,
and,
Shinkawa's coming with.
Kenichiro Imazumi.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Kento.
He's
Yeah.
taking a lot of people.
He's getting the boys together.
No, he's just taking those two
Right,
dudes.
so right now
Really?
it's right
Yeah,
now it's
right
small.
now it's yeah.
But I bet he's like mutiny style, just like bringing all his boys.
I feel like he's doing a cool Jerry Maguire. You know, just who's coming with me?
Doing
Mitch,
a
you were-
cool Jerry Maguire.
You were tackling all the transcription for this and everything, so I imagine you pretty close on what jumped out at you as being really exciting about this, aside from the obvious kind of headline face value type of stuff.
So I mean, it's not anything about the game or the partnership that stands out, but just kind of the way Kojima talks, like, and the answers he gave. I don't speak Japanese, so it's a little hard to say the way he talks. But the things he's talking about, right? Like he's talking about partnering with PlayStation is great because they made me who I am and they made me a splash. But also, like the thing that sticks out the most is he needs a comfortable work environment.
Right.
That is the environment I need right
Yes.
now. Like he needs freedom. Kojima does not want anybody interfering. He doesn't want the politics of Konami. Like all of that is what that says to me. And
Right.
what in PlayStation he has found that freedom. That he's found somebody who will give him a nice cash injection and a lot of time and a lot of freedom to do whatever he wants to do because he's Kojima. They're gonna give him money, back up, get out of his way, and let him make a thing.
So it's security to me, right?
Yeah,
Like that's what his interview. Like the thing that I took away from it the most was a sense of security. Like he stated multiple times that, like you said, the PlayStation brand made him who he is today, and that they are more than willing to be sort of laissez-faire and just support him
Those
in
are the
whatever
bad
he's
guys,
doing.
the laissez-faire Terry.
Yeah.
That was
That was
really
laissez-faire
good joke.
Terry.
I totally feel like creatively they're going to get out of his way, right? Like
Yes.
I feel like there's a situation. Like so, I think one of the big problems that permeated the kind of tail end of Metal Gear Solid 5 was all the insurance microtransaction garbage that came in towards the very end. And I don't know how much of that was Konami and how much of that was him being like, "Here's my design idea.
Yeah.
Let's make a bunch of people pay money they don't need to pay. Let's paywall some stuff." I feel like he's gonna get away with whatever he wants to do there. And I know we were sort of like theorizing earlier this year, being like, once this story started kind of like trickling out a little bit of like something's not right over there, we were like, hey, it'd be awesome if he left and did his own thing. And one thing I think we wanted him to do was sort of go the kind of like KJ Inafune, Igarashi Kickstarter way, which is like, hey, I'm going to go and leave and do this thing. But the reality is like this dude needs a AAA budget. He needs major like buku.
I don't think he's
going to
do that. He's not going to rely on the fans' support monetarily when he can. He has the clout to go to Sony and say,
Right.
"Give me money."
And that's not to say that he couldn't do that. Like, I'm sure that if he wanted to kickstart
great.
whatever game
Yeah.
that
But
he's
he
going to
doesn't
make
need
next,
to, and he
but
knows it.
Well, and that's the thing about Kojima is like Jose and I were talking about this. Jose went with me to Japan, and we were talking about his sort of stature in the game industry and how he's been this sort of super public figure and over the last 10 years since he's kind of made this like his rise and it's just like he is the kind of guy that can walk into a room and say like this is why we were kind of debating whether or not there was a game to be seen at all because he didn't talk about anything specific, but I don't think it really matters because he's the kind of guy that can walk into a room and say, hey, I'm gonna make a game and you guys probably want to get on board.
Yeah, and, and thinking about that guy, like the Sony partnership makes sense, and that being said, I have no doubt that he took that game to everyone. I have no doubt that Microsoft saw it. I have no doubt that Nintendo saw it. I have no doubt that Activision saw it.
I totally doubt
I have no
that.
doubt that EA
you,
saw it. I have no doubt that anyone with money has seen this game.
Wait, you have this like rockstar Japanese video game developer and creator, right? Let's just call him that. Do you really think he went to Microsoft, a company that has basically made zero effort to make any waves in Japan this generation?
Yes, because he doesn't care. He doesn't care about making a game for Japan. He doesn't.
That dude is obsessed with America.
Like
fair enough.
he wants
in a really interesting way.
Well, and he also said it. He also said it like flat out right in our interview that he doesn't really care about the console market.
It's about
either.
global. It's like I want to make a game that people like a lot of people will play. That a lot of people will buy.
Makes sense to put it on PlayStation 4 because that has a rapidly growing install base.
Sure.
But how does that conversation go then? Microsoft's like, nah.
So, dude, if you're Kojima, you're going to go to everybody. You're going to go to Andrew at EA, and you're going to go to Eric at Activision, and you're going to say, I have a project. This is what I need. This is the money I need. These are the freedoms I require. Are you in? And they say, no. Sony says yes.
Well, and that's not even necessarily like it could potentially be that not everyone said no also.
Right. Like Sony's giving me this.
He could have thrown this out to, like we said, 5 or 6 different companies and then just took the highest bidder. You know what I mean?
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like you go with the system that. I know you said he doesn't care about the console wars or anything like that, but I mean, as an artist, you want your painting in the most galleries possible, or in the most places. You want your album in the most cars or whatever the hell it is. Like what. Why would you?
How many car spins you got, Kanye?
Yeah, how many car spins? Why would you turn down by the time this game is out, there's going to be probably 60 million PlayStation 4s in the wild, right? Like that's a pretty good estimate based on where things are going right now, and there will be probably half that many Xbox Ones.
Yeah,
that's a bold statement, but PlayStation 4 is doing better in everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Yeah.
Everywhere, period.
I mean, and
at the same time, like, no matter what deal he made, even with the Sony deal, it seems like this game is also coming to PC. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, his game will still be on the biggest platform in the world.
I think we're looking at like a year of exclusivity, probably.
Probably
I think
situation.
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
also still looking at probably at least 2 years out.
Yeah.
This is
the way it's on.
But
why would it ever go to Xbox if Sony's going to help fund it?
Same reason Tomb Raider's coming to PlayStation next year.
Same reason that Resident Evil 4 went to every system ever. There's money to be made.
And Shinji Mikami never cut off his head.
He never cut off his head. He promised he would.
Claiming he would.
We're getting kind of in the weeds here.
Yes.
I think it is interesting. We got an email. Angel Rivera sent an overly explanatory, extremely verbose email to the point that he stated the role of Kojima. Like, we know who Kojima is. We're on the same page. We do a podcast about this. I appreciate your interest. But it was like, you trying to impress us with how much you know, Angel. Anyway, his big issue was that a lot of outlets are pointing out that this is are saying this is a PS4 game, where nowhere in official writing does it say this is a PS4
It says
game.
PlayStation, yeah.
That's why I keep saying, man, it's a PS5 game. This is
Really?
Not, yes.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Absolutely.
Guys,
No.
Metal Gear Solid 4 came out 7 years ago.
Yeah.
7 years ago.
Right.
And in that span, yes, he did Peace Walker, but his primary focus has been the Phantom Pain. That dude loves technology. We have no idea what whatever engine this game is being built on, it does not exist right now.
So I had heard that
Whether
it was
Unreal 9.
I thought it was Unreal Engine 4.
No, it's Unreal 9. I just said that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the big thing about Metal Gear Solid 5 was that they had to build Fox Engine from the ground up for it. Which
Now,
took
hold on. Let's just get this out of the way. This is not a PS3 game. This is not a.
Definitely not a Vita game.
It's not a Vita game.
No.
Like it's
Coming
it's gonna come
exclusively
out.
to the PSP Go.
Yeah, obviously they're going to want it on PS4 because the install base by the time this game comes out will be tremendous. It's already tremendous.
Yeah, we could potentially be looking at a situation like the
both.
Phantom Pain where it is PS4 and PS5.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not. There's no way.
You got to get right up
they
on that
probably have
microphone.
a prototype somewhere. Do I got to?
It's very short.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a real little boy. They could not have been working. I'm sure they've been working on a prototype for whatever this game is in their free time, but it cannot be very far along because they
No way. They talked to us about literally needing to go out and purchase computers to set it up. Their new office. Like
fascinating.
they
That's
do
really
not
cool.
have a game.
So we do know it's a
90%
new
positive.
it's a new IP, and we know it's not a horror game, right?
Right.
So that pretty much
Well, we
throws
don't
the-
know.
Well, we
it's
don't
not
know
a
that it's not a horror
We know
game.
literally nothing
Yeah.
about the game.
So
He
we
said
know-
it like
I mean,
it's going to be
I-
something that fans expect.
Well, we
My
know
theory
it's not
is-
Silent Hills, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely, it's
Yeah.
not Silent Hills.
Well, why do you say that?
I mean, it's
Konami
not
owns Silent Hill.
Oh yeah, duh. Yeah, that's a good point.
But
It's
he's also like
Quiet Mountains or whatever.
Yeah.
him,
Kickstarter
Norman
version is.
Reedus, and Del Toro keep doing this like flirtatious. Yeah, I'd love
Yep.
to see them. Yeah, I'd love to see them.
Yep.
It's like, well, when's that threesome gonna go down?
Yeah, I mean, every couple of weeks, one of them says something in an interview of
Yo,
like,
can
"Yeah,
we
shit
just? Can
happened."
I just? I'm sorry. Like Norman Reedus, that's great, but you know who else was working on that game was Junji Ito.
Yes,
Can we just?
the actual-
I don't
Oh,
give
yeah.
a if Norman Reedus is attached to Silent Hills. Junji Ito, who's like one of the best horror artists ever, was attached to that game. You
Yeah.
got Guillermo del Toro, you got Junji Ito and Hideo Kojima, and everyone's like, yeah, but that guy with the crossbow is in the game.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care.
But he
I'm
was a
with you. I'm
boondock
with you.
saint.
Like I mean that's good to have that noise and it's cool to have that kind of like that mainstream attachment, but
Yeah.
like I really hope that if they're going to do a horror thing, it would be really cool if they got Junji Ito involved in that.
Wait, you're not excited for the guy that will silently grunt in the background on a motorcycle for 7 seasons of his hit show about his brother losing an arm?
His racist brother losing.
That's the
his
most
arm.
reductive way I can describe The Walking Dead.
Walking Dead because it kind of goes both ways.
I would have said horse.
Yeah, and also there's no surprise about Kojima signing with PlayStation because aside from Police Knots and Snatcher in the original couple of Metal Gear games, everything since Metal Gear Solid 1 that he's done, Boktai Remove, has been on
Oh
PlayStation.
man.
Don't even
So the Metal Gear games and
don't
Zone
even
of the Enders,
entertain the idea of a new Boktai.
We
you're
did that
gonna
on
have to-
Unlocked.
You're gonna have to
Really?
go into the moonlight. It's called
Bring your
Moontai.
PlayStation 5 out into a river.
The game is powered by water.
It's about fighting Sandman. You have to go into the ocean and submerge your phone using augmented reality technology to
So this is like,
void your
I
warranty.
mean, this whole thing is really awesome. I know some people are upset about it. Especially you just came off of an Xbox podcast. I'm sure there's a lot of like, hey, why not?
Oh, bummer.
But I think it's a very
I got both systems. I don't care.
Yeah, me too.
right. Well, there's a very different scenario here than say like Rise of the Tomb Raider or something like that, because that was a direct sequel to a game that was multi-platform.
Yep.
This
Yeah.
is not. This
It's
is
a new IP.
This is a brand new thing. So it kind of doesn't matter where it lands. That being said, kind of happy I lean towards my PlayStation 4 when it comes to playing console games because I'm gonna be a real happy boy when this one comes out.
just point out that at the risk of fanning the flames of fanboy stuff, like I think that Sony gets much. Shut up.
You host a PlayStation podcast.
I also don't want to be like, hey, X boys, here's some salt for your wounds. Like, I mean, whatever. I wish I was playing Tomb Raider this Christmas, but I'm not because it's not out yet for my system.
That
Anyway,
is incredibly possible for you to do.
I don't want to bring home one of those big, huge. Anyway, we're getting out of it. Okay. The point is, I think that Sony much more gets like investing in the medium.
Yeah.
And I think that Xbox is like Microsoft is a company that's been around since the 80s, and Sony's been around since the 50s.
Yeah.
Like they get it. They get the long con, and you see this a lot more with Japanese companies. They're much more like, okay, so like people always say Nintendo is. Zach, will you sit
No,
down?
he's running. He's doing a
What
good
He's
are
doing
you doing?
producing. He's doing production.
He's the
making
old
the
Skip
podcast
Fisker
happen.
back on the
Great.
wheels.
I'm wearing a lot of hats.
Just gonna get this.
No, you're wearing
Wear
one.
one
It's just
hat.
One
Full
hat. It's a
stocking.
hat and
Anyway.
headphones.
Anyway,
As I was saying, like you've got David Cage. Like
Right.
you've got people who are making stuff that you show this to somebody who doesn't give a crap about games, and they're going to be like, "That's really impressive."
Yeah.
And I mean, there was. It's a totally corny photo op, but you have J.J. Abrams and Kojima hanging out. You have
He signed his game, which is
Yeah.
like so weird, but I love that.
He signed his own game. They all just went and wrote on the walls,
Yeah.
and their handlers had to come bother them.
Kojima's shirt said "you on it."
God,
When he met
now have
J.J.
to-
Abrams,
I now have
which-
to-
Did it
I mean,
really?
wait.
Yeah.
If you quote a shirt, do I have to censor it?
yes.
What?
He said a swear.
I still said a swear.
Yeah.
I was on a live stream the other day, and we were playing GTA, and that game, like, you turn it on, and there's like 8 swears, and you're
Yeah.
just like, it's really awkward to be live streaming it and be like, well, we can't say any of those. We can say we can say 4.
Yeah.
We can't. Other words we can't say there.
I can't say any of these words
And
in my
it's-
real life
fart,
without
soup,
getting
and funk.
arrested.
It's like if you get in trouble at your friend's house, and his parents are like, I'm gonna punish my kid. I can't punish you. You're not my kid.
But I'm gonna call your dad, and he's gonna hit you.
It was like we were streaming The Order, and they're like, you can't swear, but here's a brothel, and we were just like, we were walking through the brothel, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna stick around.
I can't bang on.
I can't do a live stream here without dropping at least one F-bomb accidentally, and then I get this look from Ben Janka where he's like,
You just pointed the jacket.
he's not mad, he's just disappointed.
Wait, I got one last Kojima question for y'all boys. Is this game going to be Metal Gear, not called Metal Gear? Is this going to, like you said, with Mighty Number 9 and with, why can I still not remember Bloodstone?
Bloodstained.
No,
that's a
The
Bloodstained.
Blood-starved beast.
No.
That's
Ukulele,
a metal.
no.
Yeah,
Absolutely
like is this
not.
going
I agree
to
with
be
Max.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, not at all.
Kojima has been wanting to ditch Metal Gear since, like, I mean, I know he loves it in a certain degree, but like he's been trying to ditch it in everything but name since 2.
Yeah.
2 was supposed to be his last one. He said that. And then if you look at Snake Eater on its own, if you remove Metal Gear Solid from that title and remove the term Metal Gear from that and maybe pretend Ocelot is as different of a character in that he is from everything else,
Sort of a
maybe
different
that's
thing.
a totally new game, you know? And then you look at the fact that the Phantom Pain was revealed as a new studio not attached to Konami and was not a Metal Gear game and just happened to be about unicorns breaking into a hospital.
And
Yeah.
fire
Yeah.
whales.
We asked him about
Unicorns breaking
whether or
into
not he was
a
interested in pursuing anything stealth action, and he kind of laughed it
He
off.
just laughed and he was like, I don't want to talk about
He's
it.
like, I
I'll
don't
say
really
too
want.
much.
Yeah, I don't really want to talk about
So
this.
you hung out with Kojima this weekend.
I did, yeah.
That's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
what was did he look like a guy that just got out of a bad relationship? Like,
You know, I honestly like.
25-year relationship.
I'll tell you the truth. Like, obviously, I don't know the guy. I never met him before. But,
Right.
I did get the distinct impression that he was a little bit beat down. You know what I mean? Like, he was very kind of subdued, I guess. Like he the things that he didn't want to talk about, he definitely did not want to talk about them. And it seemed like anytime that we even came close to talking about Konami, he was kind of, you know,
Right.
I mean, legally, he might not be
Well,
able to.
Yeah.
certainly.
That and he's probably
But there's
just
also,
tired.
and there's also, I think that there's, you know, it's like you said, it's a breakup. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to talk
Totally.
about that.
Well,
shit.
it's a breakup where he already moved on and met somebody wonderful. And
Yeah.
they're gonna
And
start
rich.
their thing and rich. And you could talk to him
I
about
want
like
to meet someone wonderful and rich.
Me
you
too.
could be like, tell me about your new girlfriend, or you could be like, let's talk about your ex. And like those conversations are completely
Yeah.
different scenarios.
Well, and I
So-
think it's really cool that like he was very focused about talking about the future, and he does seem very optimistic about his new venture, and rightfully so.
and his beard, his cool new beard.
Such a cool
I love
beard.
it. Great beard.
Kojima has a beard. That means that he's going to get a mullet. He's going to get an eye patch.
It's
He's
not
going
a Metal Gear.
He's
game.
going,
So wait a minute.
he's
Wait a
going to
minute.
get a horn. He's going to get a robot arm.
A horse,
I will wait.
a dog with an eye patch.
I will always regret what I'm about to tell you guys, but I had to stop the interview because he was having microphone issues. And before I started rolling again, I asked him to check his microphone. And when he did, he looked down at his microphone and he said, "This is a snake." And I wasn't rolling on it. And I will forever regret not rolling on that clip.
Damn it.
Yes.
Called the microphone a snake?
Well, he was doing
no.
a snake impression,
He was doing a snake.
like a codec
Wow,
thing.
you're real dumb.
Yeah.
He made Metal Gear.
Yeah, he did a
We're
metal.
talking about the man who made the Metal Gear games.
This one.
Wait, he said this is a snake?
Well, he's
Zach was doing an
Japanese-
impression of broken English.
Oh, no, I feel really
The
bad.
puzzles are coming together and they're making a picture.
He didn't think the microphone was a snake.
I thought in the White Elephant this morning, my number was 22, and I thought it was two snakes side by side.
the twin snakes.
Oh, no, that was.
So
we don't talk about him anymore.
you know what? I dug into this apropos of nothing. I don't know. I think I was homesick with a fever or something, and I was decided to read Wikipedia articles because why would we do these? I don't know why we do these things. I found this thing that was talking about there's a website that has the full as much forward facing as it can be, the design docs for Metal Gear Solid 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Apparently, Metal Gear Solid 2 was originally going to be titled Metal Gear Solid Roman numeral 3, and that the 3 was supposed to be representative of the 3 tallest buildings in New York City.
Oops.
Which was, this is all pre 9/11. But,
Oops.
Yeah. But it also was supposed to be, I think, significant of the 3 Snake Boys, the Snake Pals, whatever,
Yep.
Liquid and Solid and Solidus.
Running around the garden.
And if you read that design doc, there's all this stuff that was almost in that game, and it's all about, like, who is this for? And it's like, well, we want girls to play the game. How do we do that? Oh, I don't know. We have Fortune with a railgun. And what else do we do? I don't know. And then there's a bunch of, like, kind of, how do you get new people to play the game without screwing everything up? Like, what's the approach here? Super fascinating if you can dig that up. It's one of my favorite parts, though, is there was supposed to be a final fight that was going to be set in Wall Street. and you were going to be fighting Metal Gear Ray while there were crowds of people around you, and there were like horse cops like holding back crowds
While you're fighting,
you're fighting you're fighting Solidus.
That's awesome.
And they changed it all. Like kind of, I think.
They had to pivot after 9/11.
Yeah, they had to shift some stuff around. I mean,
So-
you see that with like the way the cutscenes changed, but like there's also a scene where apparently sharks get into Big Shell, which is half sinking, and the water is full of blood, and you have to navigate through this underground graveyard full of bloody sharks.
Sounds awesome.
So I imagine it would be like
terrifying.
riding, swimming through red water with sharks attacking him. And
I kind of
stuff.
want to see like a whole thing of all the Kojima what ifs of the last few years, because if any of them lead to even the slightest of clues of what he might be doing next, like all of the ideas that he had a table. I mean, that's incredibly fascinating. That's just like throwaway stuff that is. It would have made its own game amazing.
That's what PT is, ostensibly.
Yeah,
PT
sure.
is all of those weird ideas in a single thing that it's like, this doesn't cost money, this didn't take us that long,
Yep.
here is this thing.
Yeah.
And like, I hope whatever he does is more like PT. But that was the question I want to get to, just closing out the Kojima stuff, is just around the table, like, what do you think the next game will be? Like, Shot in the Dark, like, what is a sentence? What is his next game about?
A stealth action open world game.
Okay.
Like, it might not be Metal Gear Solid-esque, but it will. I think he is so good at that, and I think that he wants to sort of hone in on his skill, right? Like, that is what he does best, and he knows it. And if he can take off the shackles and do that even better than he ever could with new ideas, that would be great.
I kind of want to see him do something completely different.
Be great.
I don't know what it looks like, but when he kind of ventured out of his comfort zone and did Zone of the Enders, like I thought that's an amazing
comfort zone of the Enders. Ender
comfort zone of the
comfort
Enders.
zone.
No, but he it's kind of an amazing proof of concept. Like it's not an awesome game.
No.
But it's so different from anything else that he's done. So I would like to see him kind of go just off the deep end
Remember
and do
when those
something
pilots
completely
hung
different.
out in Zone of the Enders?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it was right in their decks.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want something sort of.
The old cockpit, if you will.
Wow.
Is this going to be the other joke we have to edit out at the end of the episode?
No, you can say cockpit.
Yeah, you can say cockpit. They literally have cockpits in their groins.
You
in
just
those
can't
robots.
pause too long between the words.
You just made it.
You kind of did. No, I definitely want something with robots. You know, like
Yep.
that's actually it's something he's
me mechs.
he's either directly gone in with in the last few Metal Gear games, or kind of just like Metal Gear Solid 5 didn't get into that as much. Like there was some of it, and obviously like there's a couple boss fights and stuff like that. But you're mostly just a guy in the desert and doing stealth stuff, and it's great. But I want to see more robot stuff. Like get away from humans almost entirely, and just do stuff like that.
I think his next game is going to be. In my head, I keep imagining Evangelion. Where there's going to be big old robots, and there's going to be a lot of angst and a lot of weird symbolism.
Right.
I think that we're going to see something that's got its roots in some horror. He's been kind of touching on that. He's always kind of been touching on that. He kind of got tied to tactical espionage action, which has, your espionage. It's got its, like...
We didn't call you out. You called yourself out.
We got, you got your mecha, your big robots. You got your military hardware. But then you also have stuff like Psycho Mantis or Vamp. Like, there's always been these kind of levels of like, wow, that's actually really scary. And there are bits of that definitely in Phantom Pain.
I think the whole intro scene, like actually when you're crawling around, it's like it's super horror.
Like the guy likes horror, he likes to mess with that, and I think that the fact that he was shooting ideas around with Del Toro is really telling.
Yeah.
At the same time, Del Toro also likes robots, so maybe we're gonna see. I mean, something Evangelion-esque would be pretty cool because that really is one of those just big gross Katamaris of a bunch of concepts together. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Like, what if he did something that was sort of not a Pacific Rim game, but like had some themes of that, and then Del Toro did something attached to that? Like didn't they say something about working together? Did they address that at all?
Yeah, they talked a little bit. Like Kojima's obviously they still want to do it. They talk about it a lot. But the thing Kojima said is like maybe it won't be a game. Maybe it'll be a movie or anime or something entirely different.
Right.
Yeah, that was the thing that also stood out to me is that he was very specific in that he would be creating, period. Like he didn't really like, he said that he wanted to keep making games, but he also said that he had interest in anime and films and a bunch of different stuff that is equally as exciting to me.
When PT first came out, the thing I wanted from Silent Hills was for it to be like the Animatrix, which I didn't think was the best. Animatrix was that thing that was
I remember
the
that.
anime anthology that came out.
Better than the last two Matrix movies.
Yes, 100%. But I would love if the next Silent Hills game, or the next Silent Hill game, is 9 artists' take
Right.
on
Yeah,
Silent Hill
that'd be cool.
in different mediums.
Yeah.
One of them's a game, one of them's an anime, one of them's a story, one of them is an album, one of them's a short film.
I was pitching something like that the other day, like a
I didn't,
sort of
I didn't like your quote things either. That
the
was real mean.
it's kind of like that movie Four Rooms.
Yes,
4
what'd you say?
rooms.
Yeah.
Shut up. Go back to Japan.
Cock.
Japan. Cockpit. You guys.
Too long.
Sorry, that was it. That was the hard. That
It's
was
because
a hard pause.
it's because where you
cock.
pilot them was right in the
Hard
groin.
pause between the
Too
cock and the pit. No, like having a bunch of different directors working on sort of a segmented game or experience like that. I do agree with you, Mitch, that you said it's going to be open world in some way. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 5 like wouldn't stop. Like it just kept going, and some, in some ways that was good, and in other ways I was like, man.
Meanwhile, PT was a hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the opposite of an open world.
Yeah, totally.
But also a hallway that wouldn't stop.
And I feel like
endless
almost every,
Yeah.
every action game is open world in some way now. Like even Tomb Raider had entire chunks of it where you're like, oh man, I'm in an open world section for
Even
the next 5
Uncharted
hours.
looks like it has some
Yeah.
like, freedom to it.
So I think it's almost every game is like that now. And I'd like to see him do something interesting and new with that. Like I think he broke that up in 5 by being like, well, it's open world, but there's 2 worlds. Like you can go from Afghanistan to Africa. I'd really like to see him do something that's like crazy over the top action open world with robots, but still manage to get that kind of like awesome intimacy that we got from PT of like capturing this section that was just so different than anything else we've seen before. Like this is all like just incredibly exciting to me. Like,
Yeah.
I love the idea of a guy being like, I'm free.
This is a pretty good Christmas present.
Yeah,
honestly.
sure.
This
Yeah.
is really
To
cool.
know
To know that Kojima is screwing. Like also we get to look at their company logo, and it's like a combination of a skull, a robot, and a medieval knight.
Yeah.
All at once.
It's like the helmets from 300 with
Yeah.
like a cyborg inside. Like, yeah.
It's pretty good.
Totally in on that.
Yeah.
Like the weird part of this story is, and we've been kind of talking about this for a while, but where does this leave all the that he was working on and all he's made these huge franchises? Like,
I mean, they're still making another Metal Gear. Konami's been open. Like,
Yeah.
we're hiring for a new AAA Metal Gear game.
They're making a Metal Gear movie.
Yeah.
Remember that?
yep.
That's still a thing. We haven't heard a peep about it, but that's still a thing, presumably, floating around
like,
somewhere.
You have to look like and we've been saying this all year, but Konami looks like crazy people at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Well,
the
they're
fact
also
that-
doing nothing to mitigate the narrative.
Well,
Like,
they're still like, oh, everything's fine. I mean, if you look at the like Jeff Keighley's totally off the cuff messaging at the Game Awards that were just like, hey, we wanted to give this award to this guy who really earned it because he's amazing, but his wife won't let him leave the country or whatever. It was horrible. And I mean, you look at the Igarashi thing, like Castlevania and Metal Gear are 2 gigantic Konami properties, and both of them are just like, huh? Who knows? They're completely up in the air right now, which leaves what, like Silent Hill and Bomberman? Like,
Yeah.
who's working on those things? Like it's the whole thing's a disaster. I don't know where that company is.
Blades of Steel coming soon.
God, I wish. I
Me
wish.
too. Me too.
Yeah, bring back Gradius and Contra, and yeah, do that.
Yeah. Anyway, enough Metal Gear talk, if that's even Metal Gear talk, Kojima talk. Noby Noby Boy finally finishes. So, of course, the Katamari creator, Keita Takahashi's PS3 exclusive. That's the one where you're a caterpillar or something? You're like a
Like a weird worm man with a weird Teletubby face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just get out there and you just stretch it on out.
You just go out in the universe and you
Yeah.
hang out with some trees.
And you try to
go to a moon.
You try to reach planets, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've been reached.
And they've been
Finally.
reached. It took 6 years, and they had to up the speed that like the reaching worked
That
by
the caterpillars could have
2,000.
crawled. Yeah.
In order to
Otherwise,
get them.
it would have been like 45 years, and they're like, we got to the moon.
Everyone's
Look,
like,
Margaret.
we're all dead.
Well, like, I love that. I remember, like, Katamari was one of those games where it was first explained to me. Like, somebody was just telling me about it, and
Yeah.
I was like, I don't get it.
Yep.
Like, you're explaining this to me, but it sounds like it sounds like you're describing a dream. Like, this
Yeah.
is too out there. You're like, yeah, you pick up a dustpan, and then you keep going, you pick up France, and you go out, and you can look through all the stuff you find, and there's all this stuff that's sort of like, is this for stoners? And I don't know, and the soundtrack's really good. And I'm like, what? And somebody
Yeah.
tried to tell me about, I never played Noby Noby Boy. Somebody told me about it, and I was just like,
It's way harder to get into.
It's Carl's
so much
Hungry Caterpillar,
Seriously.
but the MMO, like what?
It's so much more obtuse, and like I totally appreciate what that guy makes, and I love Katamari Damacy, and I think Watam, which is his game that's coming out next year.
Oh yeah, it looks great.
Which is it's a really good melding, like an in between zone.
Can't you play as a toilet?
You can play as
Yes.
toilet.
Anything.
You can play as a real cool coffee bean. You can play as a little cop or a pillow. Zach's just yelling at us.
I'm having issues, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you're fidgety. You got your fidgety boy.
Yeah,
your fidgety issue.
But the game is now
Got a nice
finished.
butt, though.
We've seen
The ending's
beat it.
online. You can watch the ending, which is terrifying.
Meanwhile, speaking of things that are all tangled up and weird and stuff, Unravel is a Yarny Boy game. It's that game about the man who comes out on the EA stage and cries a little bit because they scared him.
I loved that.
Yeah, that was
How
awesome.
genuinely nervous he was.
Yeah.
Because we
adorable.
don't see honesty during E3.
I know.
No, I
well,
think
the
that-
thing that sucks about like E3 press conferences is when we do and somebody comes out and they're just like, "We're really excited to show you this." Everyone's like, "What's wrong with this idiot? Why is he smiling? He shouldn't be like."
Bring back Pele and Hoop God.
Yeah.
We're very excited
yeah, I
to
mean-
debut the first trailer of this exciting new
Fans around the world will remember Noby Noby Boy.
We've been working very, very hard on a follow-up to Burnout. We got GoPros in the studio, and we've all been doing great stunts in our yard. We are excited to announce something next E3. Thank you for your time.
My friend David left a big bucket of rope at my apartment, so I made a little boy out of it, and now we made a video game. Please be
Jesus.
excited.
Check out my desktop wallpaper. Hopefully we start the next Mass Effect soon. We are thrilled to be working on another franchise.
Now, a few of us worked on this animated logo treatment. It'll hold you over for the next 4 years.
Player choice is the most significant thing we do here.
Real-time
And
weapon
we
change.
want to give our players the most choices. We haven't started the game yet. Thanks for watching.
This is based on real history. Here's a dinosaur with roller skates.
Video games are real stupid.
They are. I love them.
Yeah, no, Unravel looks gorgeous. Because, I mean, as far as I know,
Holy moly.
What is going on?
I mean, all the EA games are running on Frostbite, but they're
Right.
all like, all your pals are back. The aggro carbon fiber bro is here to punch a dinosaur in the face and kill a real gun.
Yep.
And then they're like, this one Swedish man went on vacation in the fjords and he's decided to make a little yarn boy. But it's a hyper-realistic yarn boy running
Yeah.
at 60 frames a second.
Well, it kind of reminds me of that. Like it was like 2 or 3 years.
Real-time yarn physics.
2 or 3 years ago, Ubisoft was like, "Hey, let's work with some painters."
Yeah.
Instead of being like, "Hey, here's a game where you kill people in time." Like they're like, "Oh, this guy learned how to animate a guy with no arms, and him and his friend have to collect fireflies in a mountain." And it's like, "Oh, this is gorgeous." And they started making all these Ubi art games. If EA has a year or two of like kind of like weird art school midlife crisis, I'm totally down. And by the way, Yarny Boy is what the name of this game should be.
Yarny Boy.
Yarny boy.
Yarny
Oh,
boy.
Yanni boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming out February 9th. There's a lot of
Along
really
with,
good games.
I was gonna say, along with about a million other things. I wish.
Street Fighter's out
I
there.
want to say
Yeah.
real quick, I do have one problem with this game. I saw somebody in the office playing. Can we say that? Yeah, maybe. Playing.
Of Unravel?
Yeah.
I don't think
Really?
they were.
They haven't?
No,
little
they
piece
don't.
of it?
Yeah.
No.
No, you must have been watching a trailer.
Yeah,
The
whatever
story,
it was.
the story trailer came out this week.
Either way.
Were you going to say the UI
No,
looks
the-
terrible?
wait,
Vince was
No,
actually
no.
Vince was watching the trailer but holding a controller.
No, there's.
Are you talking about
parts-
the weird girls that come up?
No. Well, that's weird. That's
What?
really weird. There's human teenager silhouettes in that game. Which
Say
totally,
what?
Yeah.
There's some weird girls that pop
Wait,
up.
go on. Human teenage girls show up in that game?
We're listening.
Max is interested again.
No, but there's parts where Yarny gets his yarn in the water, and then just walks it off like it's fine. And that's not how yarn works. It's real gross. You get a real wet yarn and you drag it around.
he
all
can
over
be
the-
a gross Yarny boy.
It's very odd.
Maybe
you know?
it's
maybe
like
it's-
a polyblend. and
Maybe it's because
dries off
he's so
quick.
compact. You know, as the yarn is just so tight
very
in there.
absorbent.
It's tight
Yeah.
ropes.
You guys are weird yarn boys. I just want to say, usually January and February are pretty devoid of games. That's usually when we play.
Not anymore. Christmas 2, mother. This stuff is personal.
After right now, mother.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I
Who
keep
likes Valentine's Day? Shut up! You're playing a game.
I keep thinking that like we'll get some respite. Like
No.
every month it's like, well, maybe now we'll get some downtime. But
Nope.
Seriously,
no,
like
this
I was looking forward to like maybe having that downtime in the winter. But now January and February are just chock full of games.
Yeah,
But these are good
But they're-
games.
yeah, they are great games.
Oxenfree, which is not going to PS4 yet, but it's going to be an Xbox
For the makers
One.
of Ollie Ollie, except not. Why are video game names like this?
No, Oxenfree is really cool. It's an adventure game. It's like Lost meets Freaks and Geeks. Really
Yep.
cool. Amplitude's coming out to PS4 at the beginning of
Oh, yeah.
January. Darkest Dungeons finally coming to PS4
Finally.
and Vita, which
Wow.
is super cool. The Witness
Yeah.
is coming at the end of January.
Tight.
finally, Jesus Christ, Jonathan Blow's making another game since 2000.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Jonathan Blow?
Yeah.
I mean, sorta.
Jesus,
Yeah.
Jonathan
He's
Blow.
the closest thing
Christ.
we have to Jesus Christ.
What about Moses Peter Moore?
We have Unravel, we have Far Cry Primal, Mighty Number 9, and Street Fighter 5, all within the first
What?
5
Holy
weeks.
macaroni.
Great. Welcome to Earth. What a weird way to kick off the year with 100 games.
Yeah, no
Thank God
kidding.
that Deus Ex and what was the other one?
Mirror's Edge.
got delayed.
Well, do you
thank
think
God.
that- you think it's like
Jonathan Blow.
that old like
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Blow.
the that thing where you hold a door and like a bunch of people are trying to go through the door and nobody
It's
wants to be
always
the
so
first
awkward.
person to go through.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the holiday season for games.
Oh, yeah.
And it used to be like E3 would show up and everyone's like, "This holiday season, fans of shooting a man in the face will be pleased to know that you can do that again."
If you
In
enjoy
5
murdering
different
minorities,
series. Yeah.
we have a game for you.
Holy shit.
Well, that one's coming out in March.
play
but,
Call of
know.
Duty.
No, I mean they're
No,
like,
I don't.
but basically all of them were like, no, it's cool. You go ahead. Okay, no, you go ahead. You go ahead. It's okay. And like,
Except for Tomb Raider and Fallout, who are
Yeah.
both like, me too.
Yeah.
Lara Croft in your 7-foot mech suit from Fallout were like, "We'll fit through this door. It'll be fine." And the robot's like, "Yeah, I will."
Laura Croft's like, I'm gonna go for it, and everyone else is like,
Oh, is she gonna get? Oh, she's getting smushed.
Huge
it's real bad.
man who's
Not
wearing
looking
a
good.
weird suit made out of old footballs.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. It's kind of odd. This holiday season, maybe it's just because they're busy and I'm tired or something, but it felt like kind of light. Like it felt a bunch of games came out, but I feel like it just kind of blew fast.
I feel like a
blew
lot of
past.
stuff came earlier this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
So
It was stagnant.
Tomb
Well,
So
Raider.
December was pretty
Metal
light.
Gear,
Metal Gear.
Halo.
Well, yeah, and then also we had Battlefront.
Yep.
The
which
Destiny
just-
expansion came in like a little
In
before
September,
the holiday rush.
Yeah, and then I guess we had a lot of HD stuff, remasters.
Yep.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Where's Shadow of the Colossus HD on PS4? Give me that.
Yeah, good question.
You could play that on PlayStation now.
I'm not gonna do that.
but yeah, no, I'm cool with. I guess there's less kind of work and home related downtime. Yeah, or, it's like I get like maybe a normal weekend in February.
Right. Well, of all those games we listed, like how many of them are like massive 100-hour open world games? You know, I mean,
That's
Far
true.
Cry probably.
Yeah.
I'll probably sink 20 or 30 hours into Far Cry.
Are you a Far Cry guy?
Oh,
You-
yeah.
You like a good Far Cry?
I love a
Yeah.
great Far Cry.
Do you love the best Far Cry?
Which is the best one? Three.
Far Cry
Two.
2.
2.
Yeah.
Far Cry 2 is not a fun game.
You were.
Far
No,
Cry 2
it's-
is not a it's not a fun game.
That's
it's a game
why
of-
it's the best.
That doesn't no like but that's like the Last of Us of Far Cry games. Like it's great, but it's not fun because
Yeah.
you have malaria and
It's
you
Yeah,
walk in the
abusive.
field
super
and you
dark.
get heat
Yeah.
exhaustion and fall over.
The game is just mean to you the whole
Yeah.
You're
time.
like, maybe I should drive, and then your car breaks and you have to get out and fix it. And you find a diamond and a zebra bites you. Like that game, and then like fire starts and man, the checkpoints grow back, and you're like, what am I doing here?
That's the most articulate explanation of why that
That
game
was
is
great.
You don't
perfect
even
I've
know who
ever
you
heard.
are because you have diseases. And you pick a character in the beginning, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They put you on a boat and guys come at you in the water. It's awful.
Quick side note: that was my favorite thing about that game, Crackdown. Was it starts off? I think it was Crackdown 2, where they're like, "Pick your character," and I was like, "Ooh, there's a white guy, a black guy, there's an Asian guy," and then you pick one, and then he just wears a helmet for the rest of the game. I swear, I'm Asian under there. Like it's so dumb.
Well, it's like some of those scenes in
Destiny
Beyond
is
Two
the same
Souls
way.
Yeah.
where like you'd be like, oh, I've got to run from this log or whatever it is, and you're like running down this log, you're like, oh, I got to duck, hit all the quick time, oh, I got to jump, and you're like, what if I don't do these things and it's just Ellen Page running into stuff for 5 minutes
Yep.
and then the same thing happens regardless?
Yep.
You're like, all right. So I felt like I was playing the game, you know.
Yep.
She's clumsy. Clumsy Ellen Page.
Yeah.
Of those-
By the way, did you guys censor earlier when I said Christmas 2 Mother Effers?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
good.
got it.
As long as we-
Of those January, February releases, what are you guys most looking forward to? Firewatch.
Firewatch looks awesome. Far Cry looks awesome. I'm so on the fence with Mighty Number 9 at this point. Like I feel like aesthetically,
Every time I see that game, I'm less interested.
That's
Same,
exactly
dude.
what I mean.
Yeah,
Like, It
exactly.
shouldn't feel that way. You know, I love his work.
I
and-
love Mega Man.
Me too.
Like Mega Man is one of my favorite franchises. It's one of the reasons to this day that I still play video games. Like I love Mega Man. I'll go back and play Mega Man 2 once a year.
Is that your favorite one?
Just yeah.
He's a fighting robot.
just to
Mega
keep me
Man.
humble. Yeah, but I will say same deal. Every time I get hands-on of Mighty Number 9, I'm a little less interested, which is disappointing because when I first saw that game, I was 100%
I was
all
all
in. Take my money.
It
Like,
looked different though. Like it had a completely different aesthetic. Do you
It
think
was-
it's
yeah.
Do you think it's because we've waited so long at this point?
I
It's
do.
One of those,
I absolutely do.
Because that's sort of- I
it's
think
one of
it's
those
like
things
fatigue.
where like I feel like games have a definitive sweet spot.
They have a
Like,
half-life.
yeah, if you announce a game and you say that it will come out at this point, and then it gets delayed, people are like, well, it got delayed, that's a bummer. If it gets delayed a second time, it's like, well, that's bad news. And if it gets pushed a third time, it's like, okay, well, now I don't care.
You can't, it's awesome for Inafune to say, like, we're gonna do Mighty Number 9. It's a Mega Man game. It's coming. But then to be like, oh, there's a beta and you can play it, and we're gonna release gameplay video. Like, that's not how you do that. Your game is small enough that after
why do you want to play a beta of a Mega Man game?
I don't want to be
sense to me.
reductive, but like that's a real kind of simple game. Like obviously building a game from scratch is always going to be complicated, and especially something that's really tight like that. But like they're trying to recapture a formula that's kind of been tested. Like their beta was
100%,
a series of Mega Man knockoffs. You know. Look at what works and what doesn't there. You know,
well, they're also they're working on an animated series. They're trying to make this like a
franchise
thing, and it's like this is not going to work.
No, well, yeah, it's not.
Don't say that it's not going to work.
It's probably not going to work.
I don't know, man. Somewhere deep down.
Did you guys ever see the Mega Man cartoon out of Japan?
I remember that one where all those vacuum cleaners and stuff.
Dr. Rary. It's so bad.
Really?
Yeah, it's so bad.
I remember
the voice acting is amazing. You guys, everyone need to watch that.
I don't know if it was the American Mega Man or just the dub version or whatever, but like I remember just watching. It was one of those cartoons they put on at like 5:30 on a Sunday morning. And who is this for? Like church-going children?
Yep.
Who
well, they also did that. They also did that with Dragon Ball Z, and it obviously worked. So,
yeah.
I watched that at 4:30 in the afternoon.
I watched
on Thursday,
that.
Like
I watched it from like 4 p.m.
sports.
after school till 10 p.m.
Dr. Rary, we have to stop the electrical man.
That theme song, I remember, just was like a jam. It was really
Jimmy
good.
from South Park is the main
the only
character.
episode I remember, which I think they use in the intro sequence, where all the appliances go crazy and they're just like toasters and stuff attacking them.
I forgot what we were talking about.
I think I'm kind of sour.
I don't know.
I think I'm sour on Mighty Number 9 because it's crowdsourced.
Oh.
And it's like, I feel like to crowdsource something like that and then make people wait 2 years for it is just kind of weird and kind of gross. Like, I know that like there's no like you can't rush something like that, right? But at the same time, like you have a beta ready, you switched art styles midstream or whatever, like. Get the game out. Like I don't care about your cartoon. Ship that later. I don't care about your action figure line or sticker books or whatever. Put your game out. Let me fight 8 fake robot masters.
Make
with my
people
fake
love
Mega
it, and
Man.
then they'll watch the TV show.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, but
with Dr. Day and Dr. Knight or what do you want to call these people?
The thing about
out of there.
launching a new brand is that it's all got to happen at once.
Yeah.
Right. Like look at Yokai Watch here in the States. Like they did that. They did a hard press on 3DS
the anime on XD
and the anime.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and it's like
they also invented a new game that it was accessible to new audiences. It wasn't a rehash of a thing that was hard for people in 1987. You know, like there's an audience for Mighty Number 9, but it's mostly rooted in nostalgia. The fact that they're like, hey, here's a cartoon. Like, who's that for? You know, who's the cartoon show for? Like,
are you talking about Yokai Watch?
no, for Mighty Number 9. You know, like
It's for little children that like robot boys.
little children who are going to get frustrated by this game that's totally made for 30-year-old men. Like,
Well, they're gonna
little kids don't give a crap about crowdfunding. You know, like
no, they don't. But and it's also like most people don't give a crap about the thing about like side-scrolling games in 2016 is that people are already reductive enough on them that they're like, oh, that should be a $5 or free. Why isn't that free on my phone? You know, stuff like that. But I know this game will be playable for all ages because if Mega Man 9 and 10 are any indication, like he straight up put a baby mode in those games, where all the spike pits were filled up with blocks and you could just run across them. It was like laughably easy. Like, because I'm one of those guys where I'll go back and play those games and I'm like, damn, this is hard.
Still, yeah.
Like I'm
even
still
when you
dying a
know
lot.
the levels.
When you know the levels and you go back and you play them. And the weird thing about 9 and 10 was, and a lot of people don't remember this, but the levels are like 4 times bigger than the levels were in
so long.
Mega Man
Huge,
2 and 3. Like I went back and replayed the old Mega Man games after 9 and 10 because I absolutely love those games. And I was like, man, Mega Man 2's levels are like 6 screens and then it's over and you fight the boss. You're like, what? That's it? And 9 and 10 had like mini bosses in between stages and stuff like that. So he'll make versions. He'll make a version that's for all ages or a mode.
Just play Shovel Knight.
Yeah, just play Shovel Knight. That's the other thing. Like Shovel Knight was crowdsourced, and they got it out, and there's DLC, and they're adding new modes. They're doing an amiibo. Like all that stuff was just sort of like, they put it on every platform. There was also enough modes in the base game. That game had RPG elements and towns you could go to.
It's kind of like Dark Souls.
It's really good.
It's my game of the year last year.
Yeah, totally. Me too.
Yeah, nothing is as simple as it looks on paper, but I think we're at a point where we're far enough out from that initial deluge of crowdfunding that we can kind of look and be like, okay, who shipped? Like, who put out their game? And who's still like really? You know, like, I don't mean to be like, maybe hurry it up, but like, maybe hurry it up.
One more thing that's really annoyed me about all this is that Inafune's done he's announced like what 2 other games since then, and it's the whole like
Well, and one is the Mega Man Legends successor.
yeah, and then Recore.
Yeah, Recore.
Which is
also.
like
yeah,
I
the
interviewed
Microsoft
him
game.
at E3 about this, and it was sort of just like, well, here's concept art and a trailer and a logo. We made some cool cardboard standees. You can keep them on your desk. I'm like, that's awesome. Thank you so much. This is so cool. What is this?
Not a game.
I don't know what this is. Like this is you showed
Yeah.
me. You brought me a WMV file and a logo. Like
Yeah.
and some-
I don't know. It's like Star Citizens on the cover of PC Gamer. Is that happening still?
Yeah.
They made like that's the most profitable like crowdfunded game ever. Probably.
Yeah.
Was it Final
And-
Fantasy 14 they announced before 13 was even out?
Yeah.
That was that, right? And I remember a bunch of people being like, okay, thanks. Like, yeah, we'll get there, but like focus on this thing first.
I mean,
Get it out.
bringing these
it's-
two conversations together, right? Like we're talking about games. There are too many games to play.
Yeah.
In a world like this is, I think this is why
In a world.
crowdfunding is going to go away. There's too much to focus on. There's too much guarantees, like
Yeah.
the AAA games we're talking about, to really worry about a lot of the stuff that's getting crowdfunded. And obviously, you want that indie inspiration, you want that creativity. Those energies are really valuable. But at a certain point, when you run out of steam and we lose attention on something like Mighty Number 9 because we're going to play something like Firewatch that's coming,
Yeah.
like you've lost.
Well, Kotaku's done a really good job of being on point with calling out all of these failed Kickstarters.
Yeah.
That they're not failed, they're successfully funded, but they failed to deliver anything. And I don't think that Mighty Number 9 is one of those things. But unfortunately, everyone's kind of getting lumped under that umbrella. And I'm personally hesitant to back anything on crowdfunding.
I haven't backed anything on
in
Kickstarter
in
like
2015.
a year and a half.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for Secret Hitler. That game looks awesome. I'll just buy it when it's out.
Yeah.
Real,
that is.
real weird out of context to say that.
Yeah, totally.
Secret Hitler looks awesome.
No, it's,
Last thing on Mighty Number 9.
Marty
if
Number
it's-
9.
Marty Number 9. If it's great, I can't wait to play it on Vita. Like,
Yeah,
I think
me
it's
too.
such an awesome game,
too.
like such an
Perfect.
awesome candidate for playing on
Yep.
Vita because
Yep.
it's like, I don't know what it is about Vita, but like something about that system just
It's a
like,
cutie.
Guacamelee.
It's a real
Yeah.
cutie.
Like
It's real-
these like
it's real good for
2D,
side-scrollers.
yeah,
Well,
so
Shovel
You
Knight,
like
yeah.
to play
love
the
my
teenage
Vita
Shovel Knight
games on
Sound
there.
Shapes and Guacamelee were like 3 of my favorite experiences.
Yeah.
with Vita. Like,
So speaking of games that are coming out, there's I think I want to say January 12th is Banner Saga on PS4.
Oh, yeah.
Xbox
yeah.
One. That's awesome. I've been dying to play that for ages. I've been holding off on getting it on iPad.
I
'cause-
just got it on my iPad.
Yeah. Why isn't it coming to Vita? You know, I mean, obviously there's a pretty clear answer
You
there.
would never want to play that game on your Vita.
No?
Like the way the perspective of that game would just not work. Like
Okay.
imagine playing this game on your iPad where you have a full view of the battlefield and you can scroll around, zoom in, and whatever. On Vita, at best, you're going to get like a very teeny tiny chunk of that, and you'd have to scroll to like
Yeah.
understand where enemies are, where they're going to come from, who's
Right.
moved where. Like it'd be really hard
I heard that game is tough as nails too.
to get stuff.
Yeah.
Like you really have to think about what you're doing.
Okay, I hate that.
Real
I want to play a
pretty-
game
real
that
good
plays
score,
itself
though.
for me. I want to play Ellen Page, Clumsy Jogger.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What else are we talking about? I want
to give the.
You wanna do this?
Do the shout out.
We got a bunch of really nice emails from you guys, actually. One fellow named Jonathan Payne wrote in to say he's been having a real rough time. A close friend of his passed away, and he wrote an incredibly heartfelt email about how our stupid podcast helped cheer him up. And, like, I know we get nice emails like this a lot where people are like, hey, I had a crappy day and I listened to your show where you dumb idiots get in a room and shout at each other, and it made me laugh. And if that's ever happened to you and you've written in about it, thank you so much.
Seriously.
And if that's the case, then, we literally get together in a room and we talk about video games like a bunch of goofballs, and like the fact that people listen to it is wonderful. So end of the year, heartfelt thank you to everybody who listens to us and who's stuck with us through this transitional shift where we've brought in weird people like Mitch and Zach. You know, I know that change isn't good for everybody, but I think that
You're one of the weird people too, Max. Hey, I was on the show in 2014 as well.
yeah.
I was on a bunch of episodes too. I just want to point out though that
You were
Mitch
on
and-
a lot of episodes, Brian. Thanks for joining us.
but Mitch and Zach are not regulars. They are just guests. Before you get mad at us,
That's true.
they'll be back soon though. But
Next week and every week after that.
get out of our house.
Mitch has an Xbox podcast to do, and I gotta go send 100 video emails.
100 video emails.
And you have to do a lot of expense reports in yen, right?
That's
Those are always
right.
fun. I remember I came back one year.
Bad. It's hard to do math.
I think Ryan Clements told this. Obviously,
Nobody knows who that
old
is.
Podcast Beyond host Ryan Clements.
Everyone knows.
I'm
who
just
that
kidding.
is.
Everyone knows who that is. He came back from Japan and he sent an expense
Nope,
report.
this was me.
Was that you? Okay, you tell the story then, because I know it's something like this happened to him too.
I submitted my expense report and got the conversion rate backward. So what should have been, and what that meant was instead of my expense report going from like 15,000 yen down to whatever that is, like $1,500 or $150, whatever. I did it backwards, and I submitted an expense report that ended up being for like $69 billion. Like some insane number. Like I submitted it, I was like, this looks good. I sent it, and Casey, the editor-in-chief at the time, walks over, he's like, I'm not going to approve this. And I was like, why? Like, it's my first TGS. I was like, oh my God, did I do something wrong? Did we go somewhere we shouldn't have?
Yes,
He's
you
like,
did.
no, you submitted this expense report that is preposterously expensive. You did it backwards. And he pinned it above my desk to shame me.
Yeah, it was like the movie Blank Check where the cops are like, how did you spend $1 million in 3 days? And he's like, water slides.
Also, like, can we just take a minute? Blank Check is just that really warped my perception of money. Like I know that
Oh, God, yeah.
inflation is weird, but like $1 million for like a house is like that's a nice house depending on where you are. But like a house with a water slide and a wall of TVs and paying Sinbad to hang out with you, I know he needs work, but like even in 2015, just that movie.
Yeah, where did that kid live?
that movie?
Like Kansas? Where?
Yeah, right.
I don't think Sinbad was in that movie at all.
Yeah, he was.
Really?
Yeah.
That's his friend?
Yeah.
No, he paid him to hang out.
Yeah.
Was he as Sinbad?
There's a word for that, and it's a bad word. That movie made me ride my bike behind a lot of cars in bank parking lots for a couple of years, hoping
No
I'd
kidding.
get hit by Tone Loc and the boys. Here, take the check. I'll fill it out later.
Was Tone Loc in that?
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah. He was one of the bad guys.
Who is that?
Forget it.
He's a rapper.
Ace Ventura's best friend from the first film, but not the second one.
This is just wildly off the rails.
Tone Loc was in the
Dan Marino?
the cartoon show Sea Bear and Jamal.
Yeah.
Don't know what that
It was
is.
about a teddy bear.
You
who was a
made that
rapper.
up.
Yep.
That's fake.
That's true. That's a real show.
Yeah, he was
Sea Bear
also
and
in the
Jamal.
musical Bobo and the Dragon.
That's
Also
not true.
made up.
Not real at
That's a
all.
lie. Sea Bear and Jamal's a real show.
He played all the cats in the musical Cats. Did you know
That's
that?
not true, Brian. Stop it. Stop that.
Very
That was
impressionable
Tone
young
Loc
boy.
Facts.
All right.
On the Number Fun PlayStation podcast.
Oh man. Yeah.
What are you guys playing over holiday break?
Yeah. That's a good question.
You're going to Vietnam.
I'm
are you,
going to
are you
Vietnam
bringing your
for 2
portables?
weeks.
Nice.
I don't know. I might bring
Potables?
my Vita for the airplane, but I might also just read a book and rest my
What's
ears.
that
Book's
like?
dude. Man, I read a book this weekend, start to finish. It felt real good.
What'd you read?
Friday morning, I sat down. I was like, I'm going to read The Dark Tower. So I read The Gunslinger from start to finish Friday.
Have you not read it before?
No.
It's a really good
Oh,
book.
dude.
Gunslinger's a lot of fun.
Get ready.
It's real weird.
Yeah. Are you going to read them all?
Yeah.
Oh, it
okay,
gets
real weird.
so weird.
Yeah.
It
Book
gets,
2 begins on like a real weird note.
It gets crazy weird.
right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You read The Dark
That
Tower,
book-
right?
The second book.
No.
There's
You would love that.
Video games.
minor spoilers from the second
Video
book.
games. The question was, what video games are you
I
playing?
want to read the book that uses the word lobstrosity to describe a giant lobster monster.
Yeah, the Lobstrosity.
The lobstrosity.
I think those are called Mirelurks.
That's the game I'm gonna play.
Um,
Kind of a Mirelurk, yeah.
Overwatch? Is that a thing we can play soon?
No.
Nope.
Not over Christmas break.
That's June,
That's
I think.
no. It's
that's a ways from
I'm
now.
replaying the Uncharted games now. I bought the collection on PS4, and I was
How'd
like,
you do that? Did you jump into 1 and 2 and 3, or did you do
I
like?
started with 1 because I had to because the download wasn't finished, but I got everything I needed out of that. Like 1 is
Yeah.
very, very simple. Like I like it, but I'm not gonna finish it.
You're like, I see what you did there, and then you move on.
Yeah, like
you know?
I've played that. I really enjoyed playing that, but I'm good. But I want to play through 2 and 3 again.
Yeah.
2 is probably up there in like my top 10 favorite games of all
yeah,
time.
oh,
2 is
yeah, 2 is
amazing.
It was so much fun.
3,
Going
I
back to
really-
1 is really difficult though.
I didn't love 3 at the time. Like I thought its combat was not great.
It's aged
Some of
really
its
well.
Set pieces
Talking
are
about
bad.
Uncharted
But
here?
everyone
Yeah.
keeps saying that. Everyone keeps saying Uncharted 3 holds up really well,
Yeah.
and I want to go back. Like, and I really like the story, but I didn't like the gameplay, so I want to see
Sure.
how that perspective has changed.
It's not that it doesn't hold up well. It's that, I mean, I guess this is a stupid kind of hair to split, but like other games have come out since that kind of get in your muscle memory.
Tomb Raider.
You know, like
Yeah.
like stuff that has better climbing or better melee or whatever, better weapon switching, whatever it is. Like, wow, what did I jump into? I jumped back into The Witcher
Yeah.
after playing Metal Gear and playing Battlefront and playing Uncharted 3. And I'm like, I have no idea how to play this game anymore.
Really?
I forgot.
That's crazy. So you and I, it sounds like, are playing these same games over winter break because I also recently jumped back into The Witcher and had the exact opposite feeling. Like I was like, oh yeah, I remember this like pretty well.
Right.
I know how to
that's-
horse.
That's
hit-
one of
I
the
hit
things
one
that
of
I'm
those-
looking forward to. I really want to complete it before the end of the year,
Yeah.
so that I know where it stands when it comes time to vote
Yeah.
for Game of the Year, because this year is such a close year. And then you and I also were talking about just picking up and starting over in Bloodborne. You had never started
So,
before.
yeah,
I
yeah.
got
wow.
okay, like well enough into it, but that's a game that you can't like skip out on and then
That's a
come back
game-
to.
Oh,
because-
I came back to it recently, and it was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
so
You
I tried to do that, and then I was like, well, I'm just going to start over, and I
You can
did.
play that game for 20 minutes straight and after 20 minutes, forget how to play it. So I jumped into that, and like we all talked about this. We're totally late to the party on this one, but I got in there and I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. That is, the game is so just hilariously just horrible. In like a mean way.
Yeah.
It's like a really good game.
Yeah.
But it's so just hilariously like, I mean, it's like just watching one of those horror movies where it just gets worse and worse, and you're like, oh my goodness, why am I? It's like the second half of Boogie Nights. Like it's just like, oh god. But like
half of Boogie Nights.
Just getting in there, I was like, okay, I kind of get what I'm doing, and I get the hook. If there was zero load time, I would be supremely addicted.
Yeah,
to
if it was
this.
like
but the
Trials,
load
you just
times-
press the button and you're back at it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's
load
not,
times are
you
so
know?
much better. Like
They are definitely
count your
better.
blessings that
Yeah.
you're playing it now because like when
Yeah.
it first came out, it was atrocious.
So
Yeah.
I hope so much that Just Cause can do that.
No,
the patch
people
just
were-
came out for PC, but I really hope that they can just fix the load times because I want to finish.
When I was playing Bloodborne back in March?
Yeah,
April,
February,
whenever it came
March,
out, people were tweeting at me because I
I guess it
was
came out
complaining about the load time in some way, and somebody was just like, "So what I've been doing is I do push-ups
Yep.
every time I die," and I'm like, "You're probably gigantic at this point. Like you could compete in places where they allow you to do that. Things that I don't understand because I can't do one push-up at all.
I bet you could do one.
I could probably
probably
not
do
do
a push-up.
one.
I'm with you. I can't do one. When I do a push-up, my elbows actually like crack in a way that sounds
Really?
really awful.
Yeah, well, you
boys
got
can't do
like a
push-ups?
real Liberty Bell thing going on.
Yeah.
Hey, I do too. I know what it's like. All right. I got an inner tube or two.
Marty, what are you
Around my
playing
waist.
over Christmas break?
Couple championship belts made of curd.
I'm gonna play Chrono Trigger. I'm gonna play Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh.
And Alana and I are gonna play through Until Dawn with Andrew.
Nice.
You're gonna try some new games that you never played before.
I've
That's
played
what you're
all
saying.
of those games.
I know.
Because Alana and I are the only people who love Until Dawn at this site, and so we need to.
Yeah, you keep-
I need to play it.
It's a real
Yeah,
spooky game.
so I feel the same way too because like
With hoots
it
and
doesn't,
goofs.
it didn't particularly look exciting
It's
to
real
me.
fun.
Right.
But Marty
It's such a fun
loves
communal
it,
game.
and I respect Marty's opinion. So I feel like I should pick it up. And
I want to have an Until Dawn party where we stay up until dawn.
Nah, it's against
play
the
that
rules.
whole game. Just get a
I'm
whole
not-
bunch of
I'm
people.
not allowed.
Big slumber party.
Yep.
Mama yell at me.
Everybody bring your footy pajamas. We're gonna play a real
Everybody,
scary
we're gonna
game.
have Doritos 3Ds.
Who's bringing the pizzas?
We can,
Oh shit! It's gonna be pizza.
You just said swear about a pizza. You can't swear on the show.
No, he said. You
swear whatever you want.
Oh, Shuhei Yoshida, there's gonna be a pizza.
Shout out to USP.
Shuhei, your pizza.
Yeah. On that note, we will have regular episodes going up the next 2 weeks over the holidays. They're
not gonna be regular at all.
They will be episodes that go up regularly. They will not be regular episodes. One of them I'm not there for because you guys went ahead and did it without me, like a bunch of drunk jerks.
He got a real big cry on.
I was so mad about that. I was real
Yeah, we
bummed,
did a
real
weird
bummed.
thing. We all came to work on a work day. And you went home to play with your pups.
I went home to submit pub info for our
Pups and
videos.
Let's not have this argument here,
anyway,
gentlemen.
Mom and
Dad
Dad are
were
fighting.
But that'll be
weird.
that'll,
Jinx.
That'll be the New Year's week episode. It'll go up on Wednesday, and then next week we're gonna have a cool little holiday thing with some questions. Everything's like reader questions.
Yeah, they're all questions mined from our Facebook group, which is
Cool.
facebook.com/group/podcastbeyond.
Yeah.
So go join that. There's over 10,000
or
members in
emails
there.
at beyond@ign.com.
That's right.
There are a lot. Some of them are about video games. Other things are absolutely not.
Yep.
Yep. On that note, thank you all. This is this is the last Beyond. I don't know. We're doing another one. I don't want to record anything. It's so weird. It's so weird. It's slow into a roll. 2016 looks like a fun year for games and
Yeah,
everything
man.
else. Thank you guys for listening and sticking with us. And Beyond.
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 Beyond.